Go. It's Bongino.
Dan Bongino.
Yeah, Dan Bongino and I were in an article written by Leo Hohmann. What an amazing writer he is. It became the headline article at WND. It has gone absolutely viral. Leo is doing interviews all over the United States with this. I'm being contacted because I'm in it. I was quoted quite heavily. Me as a former law enforcement officer, Dan as a former Secret Service guy. And it's about this San Bernardino case, and the title of the article is "Baffling Odd Gaps in the California Terror Attack." And then the subtitle says there's a third shooter, a lack of a video at a government agency, CARE's role in all of this, Council on American Islamic Relations, and the shooter's mother with all these terrorist ties and no arrest made, and on it goes. The crime scene released in less than 48 hours. I've never seen anything of this magnitude released that quickly. And so I gave my opinions in that article, but I know you've read the article and you've done a ton of research. What are your thoughts on all of this?
Well, it's amazing to me that there are a number of anomalies here. And it's very strange, but if you think about the other, and I'm going to name three very high-profile cases that everybody will be very familiar with, that we know now, in looking back, hindsight's 2020, they certainly happened. Something happened. People died and were harmed, but they did not happen like were reported at the time and like are still being reported today. And we know that because we have all of the facts. It's just that the mainstream media, the government corporate stream media, either can't or won't or both report the facts that we can very easily verify.
Right.
But think about this. And the three would be this. The tragic events of 9/11.
Yep.
Okay? Now, listen, I want to be very clear. I do not subscribe to the theory that George Bush and Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld sat in some dark room with Osama bin Laden and planned that. Okay? I want to be very clear. I do not think that. But what did not happen is 19 random terrorists get on planes directed by Osama bin Laden with no one else's involvement, no other government, Saudi Arabia's involvement in that, and no stand down by criminal members of our government order. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A terrible thing happened that day. Our country was attacked by radical Islamists, but at some level it was allowed and coordinated to happen.
And you know what we could title it? We could give it the same title: Baffling Odd Gaps in the 9/11 Tragedy.
The most baffling odd gap, why did a third building fall straight down in its own footprint, demolition style, and was reported by the British media that happened 19 minutes before it ever did happen?
Yeah.
But, yes, Bill O'Reilly certainly isn't going to talk about that tonight.
Yeah.
You know. So anyway, 9/11.
Hey, I noticed something Bill O'Reilly is not talking about either is the Zulo case and all the transcripts and that's vindicating Zulo and Arpaio and Freedom Friday. And I noticed Bill O'Reilly's not touching that.
He's a government agent. He's not allowed to. But anyway,
he sure acts like one. All right, keep going. Keep going. But keep going. We'll talk about that later. But anyway, keep going.
So anyway, but the next one would be Sandy Hook.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I still believe, although less and less every day, something happened, okay? But now think about this, okay? Think about this. In all of these cases, think about Sandy Hook. No video to this day.
Right.
At a school, no video. In a very well-to-do area. No video evidence to this day.
Right.
None of the supposed kid entering the school, none of the carnage left afterwards, nothing. Nothing. No video. Number two, a drill of the exact same thing going on at the exact same time, just minutes away from the scene of the crime.
Right.
Both cases, same thing. 9/11, same thing.
And
drills, same day.
San Bernardino.
San Bernardino, okay?
Drills.
Drills going on 10 minutes
shooter
away.
drills.
Active shooter drill going on at the same time, 10 minutes away. The third case I want to give you, Boston bombing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, we do have video footage of some very weird things happening at the Boston bombing. We do have photo evidence that was hacked into some video cameras, thank goodness, by some hacker groups. But guess who hasn't ever played that video footage and those photographs?
Yeah.
That would be Fox News, CNN, MSNBC,
yeah.
right on down the line.
Even right down to the same three muscular white dudes that were shown at Sandy.
To us at Sandy Hook.
They were at Sandy Hook, and then we see them walking down the street at the Boston bombing, and now we have witnesses coming forward. They're not saying it's these guys, but they're saying, look, you shot you shot two people and killed them and say that they're the terrorists, but what we saw was three big muscular white dudes that came in and did all the shooting, and those were eyewitnesses to it.
Right. So my point in all of this is that you look at these other events that we can now prove at some level, where I'm going to use this nasty, dirty term, false flag event, okay? We can prove that. At some level, all three of those events, 9/11, Sandy Hook, and the Boston bombing, which, by the way, there were drills going on at the Boston bombing for the very thing that happened.
Imagine that.
We know that. The track coach at the University of Mobile, Alabama, went on national news sites and said that within minutes of the bombing, and you couldn't beg that guy to come out and talk today.
Yep. So you're trying to say somebody got to him?
Thank you for saying it for me. So, but you have all of these same anomalies that happen at all of these events, and so here we are again. We have this shooting, but here's the weird part to me, and I just like your opinion. What's the advantage to be gained to have a false flag event like this, and then blame it on, if they didn't do it, on these terrorists, on these radicals? When our government, our leadership, our president is constantly telling us that Islam is, we don't have anything to worry about.
Yeah.
That's where it seems like a real event to me, but yet, wow, a lot of the evidence is saying there's something very weird going on here.
Yeah. I know. No, I have the same assessment you do. It's a real event. People really died. It really happened. But now that we've caught a breath, the fog of war is over, and people who actually were there and saw it, different people who don't even know each other, are telling the same story, saying, that ain't how it happened.
Yeah.
And it's like the title of Leo's article, Baffling Odd Gaps in the California Terrorist Attack. And again, Dan Bongino, 12 years Secret Service, and we just do a little analysis, and it's very balanced. I mean, I don't go all conspiracy theory, but just we go through these points and we just talk about it and say, this is weird. I mean, you don't open up a crime scene like that, the second largest terrorist attack since 9/11 on American soil, and you open up the crime scene in less than 48 hours and let the news media corrupt it and walk all in it?
And why was MSNBC the media that was chosen?
Yeah, I mean, the most liberal media there is.
Nothing fishy about that at all.
No.
So listen, there's something weird here. Listen, at the very least, I'll say this: it is a false flag, and here's why I can say that: because this whole Islamic radical movement, number one, has been funded and grown out of criminal elements of our government and some other Western governments.
Yeah.
Okay, and number two, they've been allowed to come in and out of the United States at free will by this administration.
Yeah.
So just on that level, absolutely 100% false flag. It has been, this whole scenario has been made up and pushed forward. We just don't know exactly what happened behind the scenes here. But there's something weird. At the very least, it's being used again as an attempt for a gun grab. And listen, maybe that's the ultimate false flag.
It may be.
I don't know, because ever since Sandy Hook, the events that did not happen at Sandy Hook, like we've been told.
Right.
Everything is about gun control, take the guns.
Yeah. Everything since then.
Have a no-buy list, ban ammo, and people will say, nobody said to take the guns. Hillary Clinton said we should do away with the Second Amendment about a month ago.
Oh, a lot of the liberal talking heads are saying that very thing. Brandon, we've got to take a timeout. We're up against a break. We're going to do this. When we come back, we'll let you clean that up if you want any more you want to say. Plus, this no-fly gun ban thing, there's a state now that is enacting that. You've got the scoop on that, right?
Absolutely, and it all ties together.
Good, and it all ties together. We'll come back to that in just a moment. Folks,